Hello, everybody. It's another day. It's another Friendsim, and it looks like we're in for another Fago kind of night. Actually, wait. There we go. That's not the right screen. That's the. There we go. Let me just fix that. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So it's volume 16 tonight, and judging from the cards there, we are in for another Fago night. And that's pretty much all I know. Um, I'm a little distracted by my cat. I've been out of the house all day, and so my cat is desperate for attention, and so you will probably hear him throughout the stream, even more so than usual. Also, special announcement, after I wrap up these two characters in the Friendsim, we are going to transition straight into Steven Universe Save the Light, which I've been playing for a while now. Here, I can show you my lovely little whoop. Woo. So yeah, we'll be doing that as soon as just as soon as the Friendsims are done. But first, let us begin. You crash landed in Alternia 16 long episodes ago, and sometimes you feel like you've been here forever. Yeah, that's it's like our main character has been showing a lot more medium awareness lately, which was the thing I commented on in the last volume, and now he's just straight up calling it episodes. There you go, kitty. You've had many adventures and met many Alternians, none of whom have become your friends, depending on how successful you've been. But now, for some reason, you have a hunch that you're near the end of your Alternian travels. For one thing, you seem to be coming to the edge of the populated region you've been walking through all the time you've been here. For another, the intense craving that has animated you throughout your journey feels like it might be waiting. It's not quite gone, but like a diner who's stuffed himself to bursting and is still seeking that last sweet morsel that will make his meal complete, you're still on the prowl for the very sweetest morsel of friendship. Another thing, which I'm surprised that he didn't bring up there, or he, she, they. Another interesting thing that I'm surprised they did not bring up there is that we are nearing the end of the Friendsim of the Troll Call trolls. I've not actually looked at the Troll Call title cards, any of them, in advance, because like, when they were coming out, I was still in the middle of Homestuck, so I was still in the middle of reading Homestuck, so it would have been spoilers to look at them back then. And then by the time I got around to playing the Friendsims themselves, everybody just kind of decided it would be more fun for me to just go into these things blind, not really knowing what to expect from the trolls based on, whatever was on those cards. So I always see them after the fact, and they're always a little interesting, and they give some interesting context to what we just saw sometimes. The weirdest one so far was Caraco's card, because his card sets it up like there's some big mystery about who he is, and he just is. He's Caraco. He's the good hunk boy. Anyway, so here we have Fozzer and Marvis. As per usual, I'll just go left to right. Interesting. Dude's got some attitude. Give him that. So let's start with Fozzer. The night has turned foggy, and you can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side by bare ground. I thought I saw the background move. Oh, the background is moving. That's new. It's like the fog is moving ever so slightly, which is kind of new for these backgrounds. Never had a moving background before. Anyway, I get distracted. I got distracted by clouds. Anyway, the night has turned foggy. You can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side by bare ground, hammocked and pit like a weird abstract sculpture and covered in greenish moss. Based on the experiences you've had with Alternian flora, you imagine the moss is probably poisonous, acidic, explosive, or something of that nature. That's a safe assumption. Suddenly, a shadow looms up in the darkness, making you jump. But it is only a leaning side post. I'm going to turn the music up a little bit, at least for myself. And for you, too. You can barely hear that. Jesus. Music's very quiet. Suddenly a shadow looms out of the darkness, making you jump. It is only a leaning signpost. As you move closer, you can see that the sign says, "Welcome to Happy Abstract Pit Park." Before you can figure out what that might be, you hear a voice muttering to itself in the fog, and a sound like dirt being shoveled. Shovel, shovel, toil and trouble, lobos of the world unite. You move cautiously towards the voice until the figure of a troll emerges from the fog. He seems to be digging into hard, bare ground. Absence, not abstract. Oops. There's a tide in the affairs of trolls, which, taken at the flood, leads to the workers' paradise. Okay. You clear your throat, and the troll turns swiftly. Who's there? Who's there, I say? You announce soothingly that you're just a poor wayfaring stranger. Not a ghost or any nonsense like that? You confirm that you are not. Good, because I don't believe in them. I'm a dialectical materialist. Well, if you're not a ghost, who are you? You explain that you are a humble alien who received, well, not so recently landed, who recently, well, not so recently, landed, well, crashed on Alternia, and who's been looking ever since. Here you blushingly trail off into a mumble, or... The troll snorts and comes close to study you. His breath is not the freshest. An alien? Well, you are the color of cheese. Okay. I'll take your word for it. It could be makeup. It could be a high blood in disguise, come to watch poor little Fozzer Velyes perusing his humble profession of pit protuberance, of pit perturber for some unknown reason of your own. Fozzer rubs at the exposed skin on your arm to see if the makeup will come off. It doesn't, but he's still suspicious. A real alien would know what outer space is like. Describe outer space to me. You describe attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion, and watching sea-beams glitter in the dark near the Tennyson Gate. That's a reference to, Doctor Who, I want to say? You express the belief that all these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Oh, wait, no, it's a reference to, why am I... Yeah, Blade Runner, duh. But yeah, it's like, I remember that was a big dramatic speech from somebody. Just couldn't remember who. There are a lot of big dramatic speeches, so sue me. But yeah, Blade Runner, not Doctor Who. These authentic depictions seem to satisfy Fozzer. He nods his head and seems to think. He doesn't appear to be a fast thinker. Finally, he seems to have an idea. Do the cheese entities where you come from have a strong consciousness of class struggle? That's a loaded question. Some of them do. You have no idea what he's talking about, but you were always good at guessing the right answer on multiple choice tests. You assure him that the people where you come from have such a strong consciousness of class struggle that they do it to jack up their cars when they get flat tires. A big smile overspreads Fozzer's face, and he pumps his fist in the air. Pleased to meet you, Conrad Alien. All power to the workers. I imagine that finding me performing the honest labor of the working class makes you feel right at home. This guy's interesting. You assure him that it does. I suppose that you wish to, you could share in the simple proletarian joys and sorrows of the alternative oppressed classes. Oh dear, this is... I feel like we're about to get, like, Zebra from the other angle. You're not sure what proletarian means, but sharing joys and sorrows sounds a lot like a hopeful prelude to friendship. So you say that you were just thinking you would like to share that kind of joys and sorrows. Easily done, comrade. Here, take this soil protuberance, Lance. You can enter into solidarity with the Alternian working class right now. I'm slipping into Russian just as we speak. As this guy continues to talk, I can feel myself slipping into the Russian accent. No, don't thank me. Freedom, brotherhood, and equality is my motto. Conduct your protuberances right here, if you please. He points to where he was shoveling, and you begin shoveling there too. Calling humans cheese entities from now on, at least for the next couple of hours. Sounds like a good plan. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there, and before long you're sweating profusely. But no exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. Fozzer watches you labor with brotherly satisfaction. Class solidarity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. You look like a walking cheese, but you are muscular. But your muscular development is impressive. So, just to pass the time while you labor in solidarity, what do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit from outer space? I suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. It's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. That's an interesting... He is a communist. He is a communist, comrade. Which is why I give him terrible Russian accent from now on. I suppose it's no worse than a lot of places. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Let's just go. I have no idea where this is gonna go, so let's just start from the top and work our way down. As a guest to you, it's only polite to say nice things about your host's home planet. Besides, meeting Fozzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel. A little praise and flattery often goes a long way to making people like you. So, with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia mostly interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a solitary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multi-dimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You are looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. My Fozzer doesn't look as pleased as you'd hoped. So you find Alternia agrees with you. Oh yes, very much, you pant. You find it interesting and fascinating? Definitely. To you, the spectacle of those who happen to have been born with certain blood colors exploiting and oppressing those who have not is just a picturesque detail. Well, you wouldn't go so far as to... You find nothing objectionable in a society where the kill strong the weak at will, based on nothing more than the color of a bodily fluid, where the upper classes see the lower as a little more than inanimate objects whose only purpose is to serve them, where the whole corrupt society is structured solely to breed cannon fodder for a psychotic empress's mad plan to conquer the entire galaxy, more peoples to oppress. That certainly wasn't what you... While the streets run with rust red and gold blood, you stand unconcernedly and remark how interesting and fascinating Alternia is. While the fish people and their bluish lackeys strike the pop from the mouths of low-blood regulars, you smile pleasantly and remark how unusual Alternia is. Certainly not. One can't judge other countries by one's own. Oh, you can't dodge your class responsibilities that way, you cur. You so-called intellectuals try to hide your fawning servility to the bosses by pretending to view society objectively, without moral judgments, when all the time you're simply crypto-imperious lapdogs. But, and you come here to the happy absence pit pock, pretending solidarity with the oppressed. Pshaw, I see now that you are nothing but a cat's paw of the oppressor class. Nothing but a cheese-colored Judas Iscariot sent as a spy. How do you know who Judas Iscariot is? Jesus Christ. Slave trader, cannibal, parasite, technocrat, gangster, ectoplasm. No! You try to object, but Fozzer seizes the shovel from you and turns away. Turncoat, knock, double-crosser, weasel, hijacker, vulture, Visigoth, breathalyzer? Breathalyzer? I guess he's a John Roxy shipper. You watch his back recede into the fog, your heart sinking with the wreck of your hopes and dreams for friendship. Game over. No, please, don't go. Alright. People are now debating the place of Troll Judas Iscariot within Troll canon. What was his sign color? Good question. Yes, find the sign color for Troll Judas Iscariot. The sign and color of Troll Judas Iscariot. It's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. So you take a deep breath and you hope you won't take offense, but that in your opinion Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty, even the soil is hard and mean. You've made many friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, often here on Alternia, you felt that you've been locked in a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. As you've talked, you've been watching Fozzer anxiously for signs of anger. You're surprised to see that instead he seems to be loving it. And what about our political system? You've already put your foot in it, so you go ahead and put the other one in too. You express the opinion that a violent, religiously stratified, insectile social structure created solely to generate soldiers for a mad project to conquer the entire galaxy might raise eyebrows in some quarters. Whew. You admire natural selection and survival of the fittest as much as the next person, but this is overkill on a titanic scale. As you've been speaking, Fozzer's smile has grown wider and wider, and he's shown other signs of approval, such as jumping up and down and rolling around. He pumps his fist in the air. Forward to perfect socialism! It's so good to talk with someone who hasn't been hypnotized from regularhood with counter-revolutionary pap. Someone who sees conditions on Alternia for what they really are, who sees the evil of the High Bloods. Someone who will march on the vanguard of the Socialist Revolution to face unflinchingly the onslaught of the aristocracy. Perhaps, nay, probably, to die in a hail of bullets, but never turn their back on the people. Oh, let me embrace you, comrade alien. I knew Russian was the way to go with this. He does so. He's oily, and smells like mossy soil and poor ooze. But this does not dampen your spirits. What better preamble for making a suggestion of friendship? Agreeing with people about politics never fails to bring friendship closer. Comment from chat. The accent only gets worse and worse. Keep going. I intend to. But before you can bring it up, Fozzer, having first kissed you on both cheeks, continues. But we mustn't allow our celebrations of the People's Revolution to interfere with the honest labor that ennobles us. I'm holding you back from your ticket to the workers' paradise. Please proceed with your soil protuberance. All power to the people. Death to arbitrary hemospectral discrimination. Forward, comrade. He waves his hand with a flourish, and you start digging again. You wonder if you would be just as revolutionary if you traded places so Fozzer could do the digging and you could do the speechifying. But you don't wish to disturb the perfect harmony now existing between the two of you. Instead, you use your little available breath to inquire what all this soil protuberance is in aid of. Why, a coal pit, of course. Don't you see the sign? This is the Happy Absence Pit Puck for Fozzer Velyes, proprietor. Alternia's reactionary tradition is just to dig cult pits anywhere without a second thought. But our revolutionary future demands that we have more respect for the dead, so I've created this wonderful innovation, the Pit Puck. It's like, We must keep our mass graves must be kept in perfect, in a little bit of a isolated location so as not to disturb the populace. There's a clown concert being held not far from here, so I anticipate a brisk demand shortly. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm feeling that might be a little bit of context for the next route. Just a hunch. Best to be ready for these things. Having a lot of dead clowns lying around rotting on the property is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Get them underground pronto is our motto. Here at the Happy Absence Pitpock. Pinpock. You're wondering privately whether a little class solidarity wouldn't be extended to Purple Bloods. Remember your dear friend Caraco Perot, when Foster seems to jump. No, that is not ghosts. What? What? Grateful for an excuse to stop digging, you turn and look in the direction Fozzer is staring. Leaning on your soil protuberance, Lance. You don't see... You know, you're allowed to say shovel in your own head, MSPA reader. I think Alternia is starting to get to us. You don't see anything but fog. You ask what is not ghosts. Nothing is. I'm a dialectical materialist, and if any ghosts come around the Happy Absence Pitpock, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else. Oh dear. Fun fact, in the last, apparently I'm being told that, when this, Friendsim first came out, it said Carcat Pierrot. Whoops. Bit of an error there. I kind of wish I had had the chance to, stream this last night, because I almost certainly would have, been on before they, fixed that. Nothing is. I'm dialectical materials. If any ghosts come around the Happy Absence Pitpock, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else. You confess that you don't see anything but foggy darkness and humped and pitted ground, where you now guess piles of Cold-Eternian exoskeletons are buried in the coal pit. You don't see any ghosts because there is no such thing, but the past few nights, I thought I saw beams of light shining up out of the ground. Almost as if, metaphorically, of course, some of the exoskeletons in the coal pit had gone hold of some flashlights and were shining them up through the chinks in the soil. Look, there it is again! This time you see it, a column of light that flashes up through the fog and is gone, seemingly to come from a crack in the ground, which it briefly illuminates in blinding white. Fascinating, you move towards the crack, which is now dark and invisible again. This is getting exciting. What are you doing? You look at Fozzer in surprise. He seems terrified. You ask tactfully whether he doesn't think you ought to see what that is. For example, it could be some infrastructural malfunction that could blow the Happy Absence Pitpock and all its inhabitants, living and dead, sky high. You're not even sure they have infrastructure on Alternia, but one can't be too careful. Well, maybe you're alright. We are fearless, revolutionary cadres, after all. You can hear his teeth chattering. You move towards where you think the flash came from. Fozzer close behind you peers over your shoulder. You can't help wondering where he'll be when the vanguard of his revolution is braving hails of bullets. I mean, ghosts are scarier than bullets. That's a true fact. You very much hope that his revolution, if it ever comes, won't happen while you're around. That's a fairly good hope. Here, kitty. Here. You look like you want attention. Just then, a whole series of lights flash silently up from the ground, making columns through the fog. Fozzer jumps and howls behind you. Non-existent! You tell him there's undoubtedly a logical explanation, though you have to admit that you had a weird feeling just now when the lights appeared, like a momentary dizziness or feeling of discontinuity. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. But you're more curious now than ever. Murmuring comforting thoughts to Fozzer, you start digging around right where the lights you just saw came from. Oh, we might get a bit of lore here. Because this is like a weird little thing how... Remember how, like, like... So, like, troll ghosts are a thing. But they're a weird thing, because, like, they came up in Act 5. You know, like, Aradia sicked a bunch of them on Friska. And Sullux, of course, could hear the recently dead. But it was just kind of like a weird thing that happened with no explanation. Are we about to get an explanation for why trolls have ghosts? Okay. Hi, kitty. How they fit into, you know, how do ghosts fit into the wider, excuse me, hi, kitty. Into the wider, world of Homestuck lore. But you're more curious now than ever. Murmuring comforting things to Fozzer, you start digging around right where the lights you just saw came from. Then it's weird, because you break through some kind of thin crust, as if the soil in that particular spot was just a few inches thick over a brittle surface that your shovel goes right through like old pottery. You wonder whether you've inadvertently dug into an old coal pit, but what would bright light be doing coming out of an old coal pit? And in some weird way, it doesn't feel like a coal pit. It feels like something metaphysical. Like reality itself is particularly thin right at that spot, and you've broken through the very fabric of it with your soil protuberance lance. You dig around the edges of the hole, enlarging it until it's about a foot wide. The darkness within makes the darkness of the Alternian night seem bright by the comparison. It's so dark that the soil falling into it and the part of your soil protuberance lance poking into it seem to vanish completely, as if on the other side of that hole, reality itself gives out. You and Fozzer stare curiously down into this hole. Suddenly, a blindingly but strangely blank white light bursts up out of the hole into your faces. At the same time, there's a deafening sound, which seems to vibrate the very framework of reality, like a gigantic needle scratching a gigantic record. Okay. You're standing in the foggy night holding a soil protuberance lance that has been handed to you by Fozzer Velyes. He points you to where he's just been digging, and you begin digging in the same place. Okay. So scratch that. I guess. Okay. What does this have to do with the scratch? What? Okay. Huh. So yeah, that was a scratch. What the... How? The moss that covers the ground is tough, and... ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there, and before long, you're sweating profusely. But you feel strange, like you were just standing somewhere else, doing something else, seeing something else. The after images of a blinding light and a deafening sound seem to linger in your eyes and ears, but around you is nothing but dark fog and bare ground humped and pitted. You must have had a dizzy spell. You shake it off and begin pertubing the soil. No exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship, after all. Fozzer watches you with satisfaction. Honest work is a wonderful thing. All hail the old regime, eh? You look like a working cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. What do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit? So I think if we just say it's by far the worst place we've ever heard of, we're just going to go and fall into that same loop again. But if we do it this time, like, the conversation will play out differently than when we failed before. So yeah, I'm going to do this. As I guess it's only polite to say nice things about the host. Blah blah blah. Read this already. You're looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. As you're speaking, a satisfied smile overspreads Fozzer's face. And he did say, all hail the old regime. I'm glad you recognize the nobility of our ancient society, which is, with its orderly hierarchy and naturally developed egresses of privilege reflecting naturally evolved degrees of ability. So, You did not say this last time. He did not say all hail the old regime last time either, as noted in chat. You're pleased that your words have met with approval, but you're still a little troubled. You have an odd deja vu sensation that this whole exchange would have gone quite differently. Maybe even did go quite differently sometime in the past, or in some parallel universe. Schrodinger's Kami? You inquire timidly whether the total domination of the lower bloods by the higher in Alternia doesn't sometimes feel like oppression. Never. I myself am only a rust blood, so I lack the privileges of the higher bloods. But the most important thing for a society is that everyone should be in their appointed place, and do the things they are suited for. If all the passengers in a rowboat keep their seats and row in the same direction, the boat will quickly reach its destination. Excuse me. But if the passengers all jump up and down and start running around and grabbing the other oars, the boat will capsize, and all will be lost. You remark diplomatically that Alternia isn't a rowboat rowing towards a destination. You're wrong. A planet is very much like a rowboat advancing through the black water of space. And as for our destination, all of us on Alternia aim at but a single goal every hour of every day, to serve her most imperial condescension in conquering her glorious galaxy-wide empire. Long live the Empress! Well, you suppose the sense of being part of something larger than yourself makes up for a lot. It does. And naturally evolved systems are almost always more robust than artificially designed ones. They are. This troll society was not naturally evolved, as we all know, though. So, And it's true that Alternia's social structure does bring some semblance of order to a collection of 12 disparate troll subtypes. It is. Except there aren't actually 12, there are 11 and mutants. Yeah, it's like someone else in chat caught that too. There really aren't 12 subclasses of trolls, there are only 11. You know, because, like, Limebloods are extinct at this point, and MSP, and Limebloods haven't even come up in this arc. Anywhere in the Friendsims, I don't think. Fozzer beams at you fondly. There's nothing that warms your heart like someone who thinks you're there. There's nothing that warms the heart like someone who thinks you're right about everything. By the way, speaking of that, it's kind of weird how Limebloods are completely irrelevant to anything. As far as we've... No. Excuse me, cat. I gotta move to sit up for this. Because, you know, way back in the day, way back, early Act 6, you know, Callie mentions that Limebloods were once a thing in Troll Society, but then, they were all murdered. And that's it. That's kind of the last we've heard of them. The only other time they've come up that in a way that makes them seem anyway relevant is in the Extended Zodiac, which implies that Karkat ought to be a Limeblood if he weren't a mutant blood. And so it's just weird that's kind of been the beginning and the end of Limebloods within the history of the context. Because you expect that to be, set up for something, right? You expect, one surviving Limeblood troll to come out of the woodwork somehow and do something important, or for them to resurrect the Limebloods for some reason. But no, they're just they're dead and gone, and the fact that they existed at all is just sort of a weird factoid. On some level, it kind of makes sense, I think part of the, part of the implication is that, Lord English, arranged for the Limebloods to all get murdered as, one fuck you towards Callie. You know, Calliope and her, Trollsona. Which is interesting, which is, yet another example of Lord English just being a petty dick. But that's kind of, the only story implication of the entire Limeblood thing. People are debating Limebloods and all the meta stuff that's been happening lately. Anyway, it is so wonderful to find someone who looks like a piece of cheese, Who's so intelligent and understands society and politics so perfectly? Finally, a true friend. Well, victory. Here, let's see back up a bit and see how that could have gone. For the worst place you've ever heard of. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. No doubt you could have anticipated that blunt honesty like this would give offense, and indeed it seems to have done so. As you finish your remarks, Fozzer is frowning darkly. So you've come to Eternia as an uninvited guest, only to criticize and judge our civilization, eh? You know enough about our society, our billions of years of evolution, and our painstaking rise from mud-dwelling insectal ancestors and political society theories of our statesmen, philosophers, and scientists to make these judgments, do you? Well, no doubt you have done studies establishing what would happen if the hemospectrum groups were placed in different relations to one another, if, for example, rust bloods were the higher group and fuchsia bloods the lowest. Well, no, but I suppose your planet is so similar to Eternia that you have a firm basis on which to apply your preconceptions to us. Not at all, but... And surely you aliens are similar enough biologically and physiologically to trolls to know how we feel about our own society. I thought not. I guessed from the very first that you were nothing but a dilettante full socialist pseudo-intellectual spouting your irate tower theories without the least idea what you were talking about. Well, smarty pants alien, I guess that you take your cheese-like person and your theories home to your own planet. I suggest that you take. It won't be long before her most high imperial condescension conquers your arm of the galaxy, so that we Alternians can return the favor by standing in judgment of your society and politics. In the meantime, I bid you a good sidrium. And with that, Fozzer Velyes seizes his soil protuberance lance, as well as your hopes and dreams, and stalks off into the foggy night. Game over. With a middle finger. Huh. So that happened. Alright. Yeah, people pointing out there's like one blood splatter in the previous run that looks more lime blood than jade. Like here, I'm just gonna show that. Yeah. Let's see, where are we? Where are we? Hang on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, like the blood splatter on. You can zoom in a little, like on his face, and you can really tell too because there's clearly olive blood like below it, but then on top of the olive blood is this other lighter green color, which can only be described as being lime colored. Like no other troll has that color. That's. It's like it's too green to be Solix yellow, and it's too yellow to be olive green, or jade green for that matter. Interesting. One last thing before we depart. What is our friend's? What's our friend's sign? Oh, is that the? Yep, here we go. His sign is Arrow. It's a very vagina-looking sign. I'm not gonna lie. Sign of the Lost. Associated with Durst and Heart. Oh, that's interesting. We have another heart sign. No, wait, no, that. I got distracted by another theory. Huh. So that's interesting. So that was a short one, but very intriguing. Some interesting time shenanigans. We have confirmed time shenanigans. That's been like some debate ever since Boulder came on the scene, whether all this weird stuff was time shenanigans or heart shenanigans. But we have definite time shenanigans. We have a scratch that's been manipulating the series of events in the Friendsim. So that's very, very interesting. And if there's a scratch, well, that means... Well, also, I'm just thinking, does that mean that we've been bouncing back and forth between Universe A and Universe B? You know what I mean? Like we've been kind of assuming this whole time that we're in Universe B's, that we've been on Alternia. But, well, no, but they always call it Alternia, so they never call it Beforean. You know what I mean? It's like, you see where it's like, yeah, because in the old universe, before the scratch, Alternia wasn't called Alternia, it was called Beforean. But everybody always calls it Alternia either way, so no, that doesn't make sense. But that's what the scratch does? I don't know. We got time shenanigans that have not been adequately explained yet. So that's where we're going to end it now. And then we are going to get to the other Friendsim in a moment. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.